Hey, you're the guy from the news station. Good to meet you.
It's good to meet you, Robert. Get comfortable. Let's test the microphone.
Testing 1, 2, 3, testing 1, 2, 3. Now, you're going to like distort my face and black it out and distort my voice and all of that. So this will be totally anonymous, right? Because I'd really hate for any of this stuff to get back to, well, anyone.
Of course we are.
Okay,
Are you ready?
I think so.
Tell us about how you came to know Rick Carpenter.
How I came to know M. Rick Carpenter. Well, I was on the search committee for University Baptist Church. We were trying to find a associate pastor in pastoral care. And we had some good candidates there available to us. But then one day, a guy came into the church office. He was wearing a black hat and a black overcoat and sunglasses, and he was carrying a brown envelope. He introduced himself as Boris, and he gave me the envelope. And then when I looked up, he had just disappeared. And turned out that everybody on the search committee had gotten a visit from this fellow, and we brought our envelopes to the next meeting, and all of us had the same thing. It was the resume of this guy from Tennessee named Rick Carpenter, and we thought about it, and he looked pretty good, so we decided that maybe we ought to talk to him, and we wound up calling him uh, to come to the church.
So you suspect Russian influence.
Oh, well, yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, for one thing, he came there as associate pastor in pastoral care, and we got all these government people and industry people in the church, and who knows how many secrets he heard in his office that he passed on to Moscow. I mean, and for crying out loud, he drove that Mercedes or Jaguar, whatever it was, all over the place, and on an associate pastor's salary. I think the funding was coming from somewhere else. And then he's flitting all over the world playing golf at these big resorts. Yeah, I suspected Russian influence after a while. Pretty clear to me. And then he just stayed. I mean, he just stayed. We tried to get rid of him, but he outlasted one staff member after another. And eventually I just left. And I don't know what Steve Lawfer's done to finally get rid of him. But yeah, I suspected Russian influence all along.
What are some of Rick Carpenter's positive traits?
Positive traits. Well, I would say compassion would be one of those. Let me give you an illustration. His compassion for children, for example. There was that time he had that little kid in his office, a little Amundsen boy, who loved baseball, knew all about the Astros. So Rick showed him a video on his computer, that one where Randy Johnson throws about a 100-mile-an-hour fastball and hits a pigeon on the way to the plate, and the bird just explodes in 1,000 pieces. And little kid just burst into tears. He was so upset about that. And Rick showed so much compassion in helping him come to terms with that traumatic experience. And then his compassion for animals and pets, he's just known for that. There was the time my mother's cockatiel named Cowboy was in an unfortunate accident with a screen door, lost his leg, and he was in a veterinary hospital in Humble. And I had to talk Rick out of getting up and driving late at night down to Humble to go visit Cowboy. His compassion is it's just really remarkable.
Anything else?
Well, I think about Rick's quality of frugality. Just other than the Mercedes thing, he really does a great job of just living this financially disciplined life. For example, my birthday is the day after Christmas, and Rick is always generous to get me a birthday card or a birthday present. But he waits until Christmas Day and goes to Walgreens when stuff's on sale for half price or sometimes 75% off. And he'll get a card that's a perfectly good card that said Merry Christmas and scratch out Christmas and write birthday on there. I got a lot of Merry birthday cards and things like that from Rick along the way. And I just chalked it up to the way that his frugality intersects with his generous heart.
So Rick Carpenter is related to you?
No, Rick is not related to me, but he is he did accompany me once on a family reunion trip to Dothan, Alabama. He was from Dothan. My family reunion was in Dothan, and so we shared the driving and went down there. And it's another example of his frugality, really. Rather than staying in that expensive hotel we were planning to stay in, Rick made arrangements for us to stay with his mom. And there were a lot of other things I could tell you about that week. No, there's really not anything else I could tell you about that weekend. But Rick is a very generous and frugal person, and it's been good to see that in him.
Do you have anything else to tell us about M. Rick Carpenter?
Well, actually, I do. Rick Carpenter has been one of my best friends for many, many years. And I appreciate so much his collegiality, his supportiveness while I was serving as pastor at University Baptist Church. Rick served as my pastor on many occasions and walked with me through some very difficult times. His authentic care for people is evident. His discipline in his life spiritually and his pursuit of God is real. His passion for worship and desire to see worship done well is an important part of his character. And I appreciate him and Kay and his son so very much. It's been a privilege to know them and to work with them. And I just wish them the best, Melinda and I do, as they move to the next stage and next chapter of their lives. Congratulations, Rick, on finishing up these many years in ministry and for what you've done at University Baptist Church. God bless.